I'm Eugenia Moroleda, and you're watching Landscapes of Learning. Our motto has three L's. Landscapes of Learning, where the learners feel good. Translated, it means that the online series provide experiences or joyful learning. Now, the program consists of teaching and learning, music, arts, and scenarios from the future. What we have done is to distribute the episodes in order to more or less jibe or complement whatever music and arts lessons are happening now in the field. We also introduce the concept of how or what are the components of an art piece. When you look at an art piece, what is seen and what is in, or put it another way, what's in, meaning what's in the art piece, and what is seen, and that is where the issue comes in, because what is seen may be different from what the artist thought of or saw from the viewer, what the viewer is watching or looking at or viewing right now. The reason for that, of course, is that the mind of the artist is different from the mind of the viewer. And of course, the viewer does not have enough, even if he has enough, does not have the same concepts and skills to understand and appreciate what the artist is doing. So let's start with the basic element. And let's start with, first you have the subject, right? Which can be a person, a thing, or an idea. When we say persons, remember the other time we introduced Nefertiti, then another time introduced Mary, Marie-Therese, and David. Today, well, we haven't really touched on an artwork which talks of an idea. But after subject, you are concerned now with form. And what is form? Or under it you have the word how. Form is involved with two things. That is the elements. Here you have examples of the elements and how these elements are organized, deployed. How these are blended, managed, or what combinations are done, produces, if successfully, produces a unified work. Now let's start with line. Why line? Because line has been there with us a long time ago. It's so basic. It was through lines that people communicated with their calligraphy. It was through lines that the ancient cut with pointed instruments on rocks, incised them, and in order to tell us, as we saw in Nefertiti's sunken relief. So let's start with line. What is line? Well, if you go to mathematics, they say one point to the nearest point consists of a straight line. But that is not all, because that straight line can be disturbed. It may not be continuous. There might be a little change, which results in, from that straight line, you get a curved line. So when there's a slight change, you get a curved line. Now when the change is abrupt, sudden, and plentiful, you have what we call angular lines. And that is what we have in our physical properties of line. You start from the straight line, the regular, then you have lines also have direction. They can either be standing up, diagonal, or horizontal. Based on our experiences, we have found that sometimes we call people straight. He's straight because we mean that straight line is stable, like the columns of palaces of long time ago. Now, we call it this direction is action oriented. It can soar or it can plunge, but it is definitely a movement direction. And then you have the horizontal line, which is really calm, peaceful, and seemingly weak. But that is not the whole story, because when you combine line with other of the elements, you change the expression of the art piece. So we have the direction, and then we have your SS. It's the line which is underlying line of human poses like Venus, David, and all that. When they pose, it usually has a serpent-like or an S shape. Then you have the spiral from the center moving upward here. That's the spiral. And then of course the very powerful line which is accented like a flash, a lightning. And this is found, some pots in I think it's a pueblo in Mexico, found that the design of the pots had these zigzags. And when told why there were zigzags, it was said that the design was explained that the straight things were the rice fields or the fields where they planted their crops, and then flashes of lightning. Now, given our experience with the recent disasters of Ulysses, and I think it was Raleigh, the other one, can you design now for the child or for the learner or for you, design a small drawing showing the impact of the zigzag to the calmness of the fields. So you'll be involving zigzag and horizontal lines. Okay. Now in mathematics, you have the parallel lines, two lines in relation. When it's even, you have parallel, and continuous. Then you have perpendicular. Remember the 10th? And then of course you have your crosses. These are the lines you often find. And below that you have other lines referring to data, information, and the like. That is why line has a very, very important role, not only in arts but in everyday life. Now we go to the next. We are not going to discuss this, but only because later on we will be discussing the importance on or how line is related to the other elements like value. Let us look at this painting here. You have light background, then you have dark. That is what we mean by texture. The texture of this and that is quite different to what you have here, the lightness. Now you have shapes. Can you see shapes in these paintings, in these motifs? Yes, you can see birds, you can see monkeys, you can find them in different colors, and you have crossing, and here you have your curved lines. They are called motifs, okay? Now, so much for value, so much for shape. Well, of course, I don't have to introduce to you the shape. Look around you and try to identify what shapes you can see. Are they circular? Do you find circles? Do you find hexagon? Can you find trapezoids? How about rectangle, oval, and what's this? Triangles. Those are the regular two-dimensional. Now, when you try to add later on in some discussion, you will see that these two-dimensional lines can be made to appear three-dimension. But for now, let's concentrate on the flat surface. Now, then you have texture. What do we mean by texture? That is the smoothness. Remember Mary, remember David, how they appeared, how the sculptures appeared. Well, of course, understandable because Mary was made, La Pieta was made from marble. So the smooth surface of the marble. In fact, it was said that it took Michelangelo to go up to the Alpine Alps to look for the right marble where he wanted to curve Mary. That was how it happened. And the sad fact is that when they were trying to put this big block, he wanted from one block. When they were trying to put it down, it crushed. And for a while, Michelangelo could not reconcile that he will have to work on a broken, partly broken. Marble is difficult to destroy, right? It's very, and that's why he wanted it that way. Imagine so many thousands of years up to now. We have La Pieta almost as perfect, and David almost as perfect as it was finished. So, texture refers to smoothness or the roughness of things. A very good example is if you touch the pineapple, piña, you touch it on the surface, it's going to feel rough because of the protruding thorns like the coronavirus. Now, that is what we mean by rough. Now, compare the roughness of the piña to the roughness of the papaya. Which is smooth? Which is smooth? Is it the papaya or the piña? So that is what we mean when we say texture. Even bananas are not the same. Even bananas which are supposed to have, if you feel it, they would differ in so many things. But that is for specifics, not now. So smooth and rough. Now color. Color means the hue, the pigment. Then it has value and intensity. But we are studying this for the purposes of basic ed, only to find out how line is affected by value, how it is affected by shape, how it is affected by texture and color. Okay? Now, you ask me, are we saying that one way to organize your elements with these different elements is to look at one way to look at it is how do you harmonize? And when we say harmonize, we refer to two things. Either you repetition. Let us look at repetition. In this space, what is repeated? Is it the black or the pink? Okay, so to harmonize the this painting, two blocks were combined here so that it will not be totally disturbing or dominating. In fact, it is balanced. This pink would have been boring if there were no black things. And that is what we mean by organizing. What combinations are you going to use in order to produce balance, which is a part of principle of organization. And you repeat. Now in Nefertiti, in the sunken relief, the balance was on here you have the male and the female. Now it would have been not a unique thing if it just remained as the queen and the king. But what the artist did was to put some variation, of the children playing, and it was not just to balance something, it was to also to know the significance of the life of Nefertiti. So that's why the work is a masterpiece. Now, I repeat, in harmony, we look at repeats and links. How in Nefertiti's They were linked, they were overlapping, they were part of the painting of the male and the female. They did not stand as if in falling in line, but they were part of the main subjects, the king and the queen. Now, so much for that. Some activities which can be incorporated here in our lesson for line. One would be for the learner to draw a contour of the things he has in his room where he is studying. Another is to choose an object outside of his house which he can draw also in contour, and that is because we want him to describe what his environment is. For starters, that could be even from grade 1. You just say, okay, draw sticks, draw the edges, meaning what consists of, a man cannot be, you cannot have a profile as this unless you specify, okay, draw the profile, half of the face of a person. But when you say describe your plate in contour, describe the glass in contour, it means the edges of the glass, the cup, the plate, or saucer, whatever it is. So that is one assignment for them to master drawing, and drawing. So much for our lesson online. We could have also an evaluation wherein we will be showing you paintings and you will be identifying which lines are in this painting, which lines are in circles, or which lines you're referring to shape, no? So you will have to be identifying now the different elements as they appear in different paintings. We will not be showing that now because we are not yet through with the lesson. So much for that. Good day. Please don't forget to subscribe. Landscapes of Learning. Eugenia M. Moraleda. Thank you.